a love that could never be. I sit here alone, thinking about her. She was like the sun, bright and warm, but I was just a shadow, unseen and forgotten. No matter how much I wished, I could never be part of her world. I loved her, but she never knew. I could never tell her. She lived in a world far from mine. She had everything: happiness, love, a good life. I had nothing but my feelings. I was just an old man with a broken heart, carrying a love that could never be spoken. Every day I saw her smile. It was beautiful, but it hurt. I knew she would never smile for me. She belonged to someone else, someone better, richer, stronger. I was no one. I was just a quiet figure in the background, watching from afar, too afraid to hope, too weak to walk away. I tried to stay away, but my heart would not listen. I watched from a distance, hoping, dreaming. But dreams do not come true for men like me. She was a bird flying high in the sky, and I was a man with broken wings trapped on the ground. Some loves are impossible. Some hearts must stay silent. I knew this, but knowing did not stop the pain. It only made it worse, because no matter how much I tried to forget, her face was always there in my mind, in my heart. In every lonely night that I spent wondering what life could have been if I had been born as someone else, she walked past me many times, never noticing to her. I was just part of the street, part of the air, a stranger she would never remember. But I remembered everything, every word she spoke, every step she took, every little detail that made her who she was. I told myself to stop. I told myself that I was foolish. She was young, full of life. I was old, filled with regrets. We were from different worlds, and those worlds could never touch. But my heart refused to listen. My heart still ached for something that was never meant to be. Life is cruel. It gives us love, but sometimes it makes sure we can never have it. I was just a man trapped in a story that had no happy ending. I was just a soul whispering love into the empty wind, hoping it would reach someone who would never hear it. I remember the first time I saw her. It was a rainy afternoon. The world was gray, cold, and empty. But then she walked by, and suddenly everything changed. She had a light around her, something pure, something untouchable. I stood there, frozen, watching as she passed. She didn't see me. She never did. But I saw her, and from that moment I knew my heart was no longer mine. I tried to fight it. I told myself it was nothing, just a moment, just a passing thought. But the days turned into weeks, and my thoughts of her did not fade. Every time I saw her, my chest tightened, my breath caught, and my hands trembled like a fool. I was a grown man, but I felt like a boy again, helpless, lost, drowning in something I could not control. She was always laughing, always surrounded by people. She had a life filled with joy, while I was just a man living in silence. I watched from afar, hidden in the corners of the world, never daring to step closer. What would I even say? That I loved her? That she had stolen my heart without ever knowing my name? No, I could never say those words. They would only bring pain. Sometimes I wondered if she ever felt lonely, if she ever lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on her chest. Did she know what it was like to ache for something she could never have? Or was it just me? Was I the only one cursed to feel this way, to love in silence, to live with a longing that would never be answered? One evening, I saw her sitting alone on a park bench. It was the first time I had ever seen her without a crowd around her. My heart pounded. This was my chance. This was the moment I could walk over. I could say something, anything, but my feet did not move. My lips did not open. I just stood there, a coward, a fool, watching as she stared at the sky, lost in thoughts I would never know. Minutes passed. Then she stood up and walked away. Just like that, the moment was gone. I had let it slip through my fingers, and I knew I would never get another chance. Some people are meant to meet. Some are meant to love. But some, like me, are meant to love in silence, to carry their feelings alone, to live with a heart that will never be heard. I told myself it was over. I told myself to forget her. But how do you forget the only light in your darkness? How do you erase someone who has become a part of your soul? I tried. I really did. I walked different streets. I stayed home for days. I kept myself busy, hoping that work, books, or even sleep would help. But nothing worked. She was always there in the corners of my mind, in the silence of my nights. Sometimes I thought of leaving. Maybe if I moved far away, I could finally be free. A new city, new faces, a new life. But I knew the truth. No matter where I went, she would still be with me. Her face, her voice, her laugh. They were carved into me like words on stone. One day, I saw her again. I hadn't meant to. I was just passing through the market, buying a few things I didn't really need. And there she was, standing by a flower stall, holding a single red rose. I froze. My heart pounded so loudly, I thought people around me could hear it. She smiled at the old woman selling the flowers. She had that kind of smile that could melt the coldest heart. And then a man walked up to her. Tall, well-dressed, confident. He kissed her cheek, and she laughed, her eyes shining with happiness. I felt something inside me break. I had known deep down that she was never meant to be mine, but seeing her with him, seeing the way she looked at him, it was like watching a dream shatter right in front of me. I turned away before my heart could betray me, before the pain could spill from my eyes. That night, I sat in my small, empty room, staring at the ceiling. The world outside was quiet, but inside me there was only noise. I wanted to scream, to cry, to tear this love from my chest, but all I did was sit there, lost in the darkness, lost in the cruel joke that life had played on me. Some loves are soft and warm. Some loves bring happiness and laughter. But my love was a storm, a prison, a weight I could never escape. And the worst part? I didn't want to escape because even in the pain, she was still the most beautiful thing I had ever known. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The world moved on, but I remained stuck in the same place, in the same memories. I told myself I would stop thinking about her. I promised myself I would forget. But how could I? Every street reminded me of her. Every song carried her laughter, even the wind when it touched my face. Felt like the way she once brushed her hair behind her ear. I avoided the places where she might be. I walked in different directions, took longer paths just to escape the chance of seeing her. But life is cruel. It plays tricks on you. No matter how much you run, it finds a way to remind you of what you lost. One evening I sat on a bench in the park, watching the sky turn orange and pink. It was quiet, peaceful, and then I heard a voice I knew too well. I turned my head slowly, afraid to look, afraid to see her. But there she was, sitting under a tree, reading a book, lost in her own world. She was still the same soft eyes, the same gentle hands turning the pages. But something was different. She looked happier, lighter, as if life had given her everything she ever wanted. And in that moment, I realized something. She didn't miss me. She didn't even know what I felt, what I had carried all these years. I had loved her in silence. I had suffered alone. She had moved forward while I had stayed behind, trapped in a love that never even existed for her. I wanted to stand up, to walk away, to leave that moment behind. But I couldn't. My body refused to move. My heart refused to let go. I watched her until the sun disappeared, until she closed her book and left, not once looking in my direction. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I had wasted my life. Was love supposed to feel this way? Was it supposed to hurt this much? I had never held her hand. I had never spoken my heart. And yet she had destroyed me in ways she would never understand. Some people leave scars on your skin. Others leave them on your soul. And she was a wound that would never heal. I thought time would heal me. People always say that time makes the pain go away, but they lie. Time does not erase love. It only teaches you how to live with the emptiness. I try to fill my days with work, with books, with long walks through the city. I force myself to smile at strangers, to laugh at jokes I didn't find funny. But nothing changed. The weight in my chest remained. The silence in my heart grew louder. One day, I saw her again. She was walking down the street, her hand wrapped around someone else's. A man stood beside her, tall and confident. He whispered something in her ear, and she laughed. A soft, beautiful laugh that once felt like sunshine to me. I should have looked away. I should have walked in the opposite direction, but I couldn't. I stood there, frozen, watching her disappear into a life where I had no place. She had found love, real love, not the kind that lives in dreams, not the kind that stays hidden in a broken heart. That night, I sat in my old chair, staring at the empty cup of tea in my hands. The house was quiet, except for the sound of the clock ticking. Every second reminded me that life was passing, that the world would not wait for me to heal. I whispered her name into the darkness just to hear it one last time. It felt strange on my lips, like a word from another life. a dream I had woken up from too late. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to be angry. But how could I? She never knew my heart. She never asked me to love her. She was never mine to lose. Love is cruel that way. It gives you everything in your dreams, then takes it away in reality. And the worst part? You must keep living, carrying a love that has nowhere to go. I closed my eyes, letting the silence surround me. I told myself that tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow I would let go. But deep inside I knew the truth. Some loves never fade, some wounds never heal, and some hearts never learn to stop loving. Years have passed, but the pain has not. People say memories fade, but they don't. They stay buried deep, waiting for a moment of silence to surface again. Every morning, I wake up alone. The chair beside mine is empty. The house is quiet. No laughter fills the rooms. No voice calls my name. The only sound is the ticking clock, reminding me that time moves forward, even when the heart stays frozen in the past. I often wonder, did she ever think of me? Did she ever feel my love, even in the smallest way? I will never know. I was just a shadow in her world, a silent admirer, a heart she never heard beating for her. Sometimes I walk by the places where I saw her last, the street where she smiled, the cafe where she sat, lost in thought, the park where the wind played with her hair. Everything is the same, yet everything is different. She is gone and I remain. I tell myself that I should move on, that love should not be a prison. But how can I move on when she was my only dream? Some dreams are too beautiful to wake up from. Some loves are too deep to replace. One evening I sat by my window, watching the world outside. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft orange and pink. I whispered her name one last time, letting it drift into the night. Maybe in another life, in another world, things would be different. Maybe I would be braver. Maybe she would see me. Maybe love would not be so cruel. But in this life, she is just a memory, and I am just an old man with a heart that never stopped loving. And that is the saddest truth of all. That's all for today, folks. I appreciate your participation. Have a great rest of your day.